Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Matthew here with Crescentvale. We are taking a look at 5 different hologram upper deck cards. Michael Jordan. We're going to do a self-graded card review of 5 different ones in one video. Let's see how long this takes. Usually it takes about 10 minutes per card. If this is an hour-long video, it's going to be long. So maybe we truncate a little bit of it. But we're going to first off start off by looking at a card. And we've looked at this before at another video where we've self-graded a hologram Michael Jordan card. You can kind of see a little bit of the edges here. The surface is hard because I can't tell if this is the slab, the plastic kind of wrapper, or the card itself. I can only assume this is either the slab or the card itself. There's also a piece of hair, some kind of dog hair. I don't even know what that is. Beckett said they would re-slab this for me. It got a centering of a 9, so kind of keep the centering in mind. There is a little bit of a discrepancy between the amount of space from the logo to the left side of the card versus the logo to the top of the card. So a little bit there. Let's keep an eye on that. And then on the back of the card, it actually looks pretty dead on for the space between the top and the right. Top on the left, a little bit more than what is on the right. So that side being a little bit less is also on, could be reflected is there as well. So let's keep an eye on that. But like corners, we'll keep a kind of the corners is a 9.5. And we're not seeing like, you could almost say there's a bit of imperfections on this corner. They still gave it a 9.5. So let's keep that in mind. This corner sharp is, needed. This corner sharp is needed. Edge has got a 9.5. I'm not seeing too many issues with the edges. Just a little bit at the top whenever I was looking at a certain, kind of like right there. That's, room for subjectivity. But this essentially gets a 9.5. Needs to be re-K still. That's our kind of cross-referencing that we're going to be able to do with these different 5 cards that we have here. Bought them as a lot. I know there's a McDonald's one at the end. The surface has got imperfections on it, clear as day. So when we get to that, we will definitely address it. We will note it. But, real quick, the grades that I'm giving is the disclaimer we do every video, every post, every posting, listing. So my grades are essentially my grades. They are not guaranteed to cross over at any grading company. Yes, we're cross-referencing other cards. Yes, we're going to use AI, Grok AI, to also do some cross-referencing. But everything I do is not guaranteed to cross over at any grading company. The value of the card is not guaranteed to increase or decrease based on my assessment. This is just like as close to what I find accurate scoring as possible. And this is now, I think I'm around my 60th graded card. So as I do more of this, I want to get to 10,000. And then they say like 10,000 hours. And it takes honestly about an hour, like a 10-minute video, making a blog post, buying the card, posting the card, doing a custom label. We do custom labels on each of these. So just the amount of time it does for one graded card, it's about an hour of time. And I really do want to get to 10,000. I think that would be really fun and neat to kind of master this skill. I still don't think I'll be able to be considered a professional grader, even though people are buying this. And it seems like anything that you do where you get paid to do it, you're seen as known as a professional. So I'm debating that term. I'm going to continue to debate it through all the way up to 10,000 hours. And even then, hopefully we can figure out a way to become standardized in this grading realm. But we're already 3 minutes in. Don't want to turn this into an hour-long video. How to do a disclaimer. Have to always give a little bit of context to what we're doing. We are starting off with a 1991-1990 Upper Deck. It's AW1 is the, what would you call it? The cards, it's either name or the cards, what would you call this? AW1. Not sure what you call that. But let's go ahead and take a look at the centering because we just looked at the centering on pretty much the same card. And there was a little bit of discrepancy between the top and the left. So now that we know this is a little bit less of a discrepancy, that's good to know. And then what we're also noticing is that from the top to the right is about identical. And also the space between this here and this here, from the left to this logo here, and the right border is closer than what we just saw. So I'm just going to go based on my cross-reference because this is the only card out of the 5 that we have that we can cross-reference to the centering. And they gave a 9 on the centering to the card that I had graded with the other grading company. So for our centering, I'm going to give it a 9.5 because I do honestly feel like that was a closer centering. We can you can agree or disagree with me, but there is what I would consider less room when it comes to the left to right centering. And that's just, I think that the top and the bottom are closer than the top and bottom here. It's about the same. That left to right centering I do think is a little better overall. And the front of the card I think has better centering overall as well. So 9.5 is the grade I'm giving on that. We just looked at the corners on it. One of the corners was basically imperfect. On that last card, they still gave it a 9.5. So on this one, I'm seeing perfection. I'm seeing a 9.5 corner there, 9.5 corner there, possibly even 10 because I'm not seeing any errors. 9.5 to a 10. So the corners are pristine. Almost can't find any flaws with them. Taking a quick look at the back to see if we can find any flaws here. I might have to do a 10 on the corners because whenever it's that level of sharpness and I can't find any flaw, we're going to do a 10 on the corners. The edges, I believe I saw something on the top edge here. Let's see if we can hit an angle, and maybe it's just the penny sleeve. So I guess I'm not seeing it right now. It's looking really sharp as far as this. Let's just go ahead and we're going to have to take this out anyways to do the surface of the card. But right now we're just taking a look at the edge. And I think for the edge, I'm going to probably go 9.5. I think the surface is probably going to be where we have a little bit of, I can kind of see there, imperfections on the surface. It might go to a 9. But yeah, 9.5 for the edges on this. If any edge, it might be this one with a little bit, but not a lot. But honestly, 9.5 for the edges is what I'm going with. So we have a 9.5, 9.5, and a 10. And now our surface is coming up. It's probably going to be between an 8.5 and a 9 because we have seen some flaws on this card. But I think that just kind of comes with the nature of it. You can kind of see a little bit there. I think 8.5 is where I'm going to land on the surface for this card. So yeah, this card, we have two 9.5s, a 10, and now an 8.5. So we have to come up with a total score. And honestly, I'm probably going with a 9.5. Surface 8.5. So we have a 9.5 and an 8.5. That would be a 9. Yeah, 9.5. Just about dead on. So yeah, I just averaged out the 9.5 and the 8.5 round, average that out to a 9. The 10 and that 9 is a 9.5, and the edges of the 9.5. So two basically 9.5s after we average everything out. And that results in a 9.5 for the AW1, 1991, 1992. All right, now we have another AW1, I believe. Yes. From 1992, 1993. And again, we'll just kind of take a look at the centering here, the space between the logo from the left and the top, and that is similar to the one before. Not seeing many discrepancies there. And that's also the same distance from this kind of border to the edge. So probably feeling 9.5 there, possibly even a 10. We're going to take a look at from there to there, there to there. The center on this is extremely well done. Probably going to go with a 10 on the centering. I can't find any discrepancies, and I look for them. I want my buyers to get an accurate grade, but whenever it's close to perfection, I basically have to go with that. All right, so we've looked at a 9.5 corners on the recent professional grader, and then now we're looking at the corners on this, and I think we could possibly see a imperfection on this corner down here. Let's just go ahead and take it out of the penny sleeve and get a little bit of a close-up. Definitely a surface scratch there. So that might go down to an 8.5, 8. But for our corner, Trying to see if there's a way to find. I think we'll go 9 on the corners, maybe even 9.5. It's in between a 9.5 and a 9 on the corners. Not seeing too many issues, really just that one, and I can't really find. I think, yeah, we're going to go with a 9.5 on the corners unless this has any issues. They all appear to be fairly sharp. I think a 9 is honestly a little bit more accurate on this one for the corners. So we started off real strong with a centering 10. We went to a 9 on the corners. So right now, if we average those two out, we're at a 9.5. Next, we'll take a look at the edges, see if we find any errors on the edges. And that Beckett, you can kind of remember that Beckett had a 9.5 on the edges. And I think that we are probably on a 9.5 for this card's edges. The surface will definitely have what I would call the most problems, issues, imperfections, the surface of this card. But for the edges, we're going 9.5. So right now we're at a 9.5. The 10, the 9, and the 9.5 were averaged out. So the surface of this card is probably around an 8.5. So in between an 8.5 and a 9.5 average that we have going. You can also see a dimple there. I think that this card being a 9 out of 10 is accurate. The last card that we had was a 9.5. But essentially this surface is has a little bit more imperfections to it. But yeah, like the dimple, there's no way to get this dimple out. No matter if we clean it, a bit of a kind of almost scuffing. But overall, I would say the surface on this is pretty clean. So 8.5 for a subgrade on the surface of this card. I think overall is a fair subgrade on the surface, and then that will drop the score to a 9 overall, and that is what I would consider pretty fair. All right, we are 12 minutes in, 6 minutes per card. We're not doing an hour-long video. All right, very good. This next one, is this a 92, 93, 91, 92? Is this AW4? Okay, most valuable player and MVP. And again, we're taking a look at that distance between the left and the top, which is pretty spot on. If anything, there's maybe a little more room to the top. Actually, that looks pretty dead on. And then the space from the logo to the right and the logo to the bottom. And I'd like you to kind of get a good look at that. I think that is about as close to consistent in the spacing. Actually, a little bit more on the right than to the bottom. So let's see on the back. I think a 9.5 for the centering so far is how I am assessing this. And that's a similar space between our first card that we looked at, actually. Yeah, so 9.5. What do we give the first card? Centering 9.5? Yeah. Agreeing with that once again. So this is the AW4 centering, 9.5. Next, we'll take a look at the edges. We'll take a look at the corners and then the surface of the card. And a lot of these cards, the surface seems to be the biggest hanging point. And that's just part of the card. Now, you can kind of see a little bit here on the left. I think it's more of a surface than an edge-related issue. So we're going to mark that on our surface, not as much as our edges. Unless we see anything here. And it kind of possibly does show. There's an imperfection to the edge. Let's kind of try to get that. No, it's more surface than edge. You can kind of see it when we rotate. But then when we rotate back, I can't see as much imperfections on that edge. So probably edges 9.5 for this card. Yeah, going for a 9.5 on the edges for this card. We'll take a look at the corners next. So right now we have two 9.5s. Taking a look at the corners. And then remember that first card that we cross-referenced had very similar sharp corners, and it received a 9.5. And so I'm actually going to move. Well, we moved at a 9.5. I think I had a similar edge situation on another card, a Luca last night. So we're going to drop the edge to a 9. And our corners, that could be considered a 9.5 because the corner before had a bit of an imperfection. But let's go ahead and give the corners a 9. We're giving the edges a 9. The centering is a 9.5. And then if we get an 8.5 on the surface, which is where I'm already leaning towards, then the card overall would be a 9. And this surface is actually a little bit better than the other two. Not as many scratches, no dimple. Is there a scratch there? There, I can kind of see a scratch right there. Not much of one. All right, yeah, 8.5, maybe even an 8, because I can kind of see multiple scratches there and there, multiple there. So yeah, I'm leaning towards an 8 now for the surface of this card. But overall, a 9 overall. And that is my assessment. So far we have 1, 9, 5, 2 9s on these cards. The corners and the edges are pristine. Each time, basically, the surface of the card is showing imperfections. And that's nature of the beast. We have a, let's check out here, 1992, 1993 MVP, AW9. So before we looked at an AW4, and now we're checking out a 1992, 1993 AW9. Each of these are upper deck. Let's go ahead and start with a centering. Centering is consistent to the top to the left there. To the bottom of the card, I can say there's a little bit of an inconsistency between the top to the bottom, so leaning towards in between a 9.5 and a 9. Let's check out the back of the card. Back of the card looks pretty consistent to the centering. So 9.5 on the centering for this card is where I'm landing. Now we have the edges and the corners that we'll take a look at. Clean and sharp there. Clean and sharp there. Maybe going 9.5. Oh, this corner here, an edge. I think it's more the edge that I'm seeing than the corner. And then almost like, yeah, that feels like an edge down to possibly a 9. The corners could also probably rate at a 9. And 9 to 9.5. This is really the only corner that I kind of feel like could be considered a little lower. The edge definitely goes down to a 9. The corner itself could be considered still 9.5 because that card before it got a 9.5. And there was only one corner that had slight wear to it. This again has slight wear to it, and it's actually less wear than the 9.5. So the edges I'm going to give a 9. The corners I'm going to give a 9.5 to. And now the surface, once again, the hardest part of these cards to grade is the surface on them. They just, I don't want to say get beaten up, but there's already scratches on that side, so that drops it down to an 8, 8.5 possibly. Kind of a scratch here. Let's see if I can show that to you. A little bit, that angle's a little better right there. So 2, not really as bad as the last surface. Dimple there, 8. Probably going with an 8 on the surface to this card. Is there something up here too? Is that 2 dimples? Oh, the surface could almost go down to a 7.5. I'm giving it between a 7.5 and an 8. Let's see what happens. 9.5. So that would go to 8.5. That would go to a 9. Surface 8. So I have a 9 and an 8.5, which would average out to an 8.5. The 8.5 and the 9.5 would average out to a 9. And then I have a 9.5 and a 9. Total 9. And we could have even rounded down to a 7.5 on this surface with the 2 dimples, and it would still probably hit a 9 score for me. So I think an 8 is pretty accurate when we compare it to other surfaces, to other cards. Now this card, the McDonald's card, doesn't have a back to it. And there is a clear imperfection on the surface to this card. There's even kind of just like an odd gloss to it. So I'm going like probably 6.5 on, because it's just a very, I have another copy of this and I am interested to see, we have time. I'm interested to see if that, what I call odd gloss, happens in the other copy that I have of this card. And what's nice is when you have multiple copies of the same card. So I've just recently bought this card from somebody on eBay, and they're the ones that stored it and kept it over time. I bought the copy I'm about to show you. I bought from an individual. Well, maybe I don't have that. Oh, here we go. I do. Okay. Now, it might not be this identical McDonald's card. I have another McDonald's card. And so you can kind of see the back is this white. So I don't have, is this a McDonald's? Or is this just, oh, it makes this even more odd. I'll have to look this one up. Like, this being a McDonald's and having a white back is somewhat strange. But now I have, and what I kind of thought for a while was and just an upper deck, no McDonald's distribution behind it. So this what I call odd gloss to it. You can kind of see like from this angle, right? Like when we just looked at the other one, it's almost like a film. I don't know if it's like been kept in like a moisture environment, but the surface is getting like a 6.5 for me. Just an odd situation. Surface 6.5, because I honestly don't know about that gloss. Haven't really seen it on any of the other ones, and it's just gonna get marked down for that. I mean, the backside of it, like the surface to this backside, like I don't really see any issues there. But at the same time, it's just really like a piece of whiteboard. So, but like there's like a, I don't know, call it the dimple, just an imperfection on its arm. So that marks it down. Then there's like this gloss effect that I'm not seeing. I don't think it's natural. So anyways, that happens when you store a card over 30 plus years. That's going to happen. Now let's take a look at the edges and corners. We'll actually take a look at the centering first. So the centering, all I can for anchor points go from the top to the left. And that's fairly consistent, I think, from that's pretty consistent. Let's see. So now we're measuring from the letters to the bottom. Fairly consistent to the space between the top of the logo to the top. So we're going to give the centering a 9.5. So right now we're between a 6.5 and a 9.5. 8.5, 7.5, 7. So right now we're at a 7 averaged out with the 2 grades that we have. So let's see here. We have some center or edges that definitely have been kind of dinged up over the years. So the edges, I'm going probably 7.5, 8 to 7.5, maybe 8. I'll go 8. So we're already at a 7. If we have an 8, that'll be a 7.5. The edges get an 8. So right now we're at a 7.5, and then we'll see what our corners receive, and then that will be our final grade. Pretty sharp corner there. That's nice for rounding corners. The edges, we did give it an 8, which is great. This is more the edge than the corner. Has the imperfection down here. Again, like that is more the edge than the corner at the top. A little bit more rounding than I would, oh, no, that's about a good look there. So I would just give the edges, did we say we're at a 7.5? We said 9, 8, 5, 7, 5. 8.5, 7.5, 8, 8. And then if we give the corners an 8 as well, we end up with an 8 overall. And I think that is where we're going to land on this card. And that is about as accurate as I can get at 25 minutes. Hey, if you watch this whole video, you love Michael Jordan hologram upper deck cards with a passion. You love them. That's great. So just a quick recap. We'll kind of like do a kind of show the card and talk a little bit about where we landed on each of them. This 1901, 1992. This, I think they got the highest score with a 9.5. This is the only one we gave a 9.5 to. Lowest sub score was the Surface at an 8.5. But yeah, cross-reference this. Really happy with the scoring that we gave on this. So overall, 9.5. The lowest sub score was a 8.5. This card, I believe, and some of the other cards we gave 9 to, a 9. And then again, the Surface got an 8.5. So pretty similar to the first card. This card we gave a 9 to. Lowest subgrade was a Surface with an 8 because there was, I believe, a dimple or two. You can kind of see that dimple there. So a 9 there. A 9 on this one as well. Lowest subgrade was the 8, the Surface. And then this Jordan card, McDonald's version, it got a lowest score of a 6.5 on the Surface and total of an 8. So kind of an 9.5, 3 9s, and an 8. And to be honest, that is pretty accurate. Feel free to disagree in the comments, but we were also cross-referencing the this Jordan card here, and I need to get it re-slabbed. But yeah, once I get it re-slabbed, I really would like to inspect the surface of this to see if there's any surface flaws. I'm pretty sure I pulled this pack fresh, so interesting to see if there are any minor flaws on this card whenever we get it back after the reslab. But thank you for watching. Continue to watch. We will do more sports cards grading here on the Crescent Vale YouTube channel. But continue to watch, continue to enjoy, and thank you for watching.